Going live. We're live. We're live and local. Hey, good morning. This is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I hope you're doing well today. It is Wednesday. Tomorrow I got to move all the furniture out of the house and get the floors done. Anyway, that has nothing to do with Scrum, though it is a peak time of effort. This is our 435th episode. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and we're here to talk about Agile and Scrum in a practical and tactical way. It's funny. I always think about the practical and tactical, and sometimes I forget about the theory. But doing it so long, I just forget the proper terminology sometimes. But we'll do that later. Anyway, what do we talk about today? Talk about value. Bring value to the customer in a way that you're not working 60, 80 hours a week and you balance work and life. Go visit your family and friends every once in a while. Have some fun, right? Have some fun at work. Enjoy what we do. We're there so long doing it, but I question sometimes, are we really enjoying it? So what we try to do is so you can get that enjoyment back and have some fun and get value to the customer in a timely manner for spread out over years, right? We want to do it quicker, faster, better. So the title, short-term thinking. Why short-term thinking? Two items that came up. I'm using my little notebook just recently. One was past. I'm going to talk about short-term thinking and coding standards for the whole organization. And as a part of episode 428, I kept trying to remember what I had said that I didn't get the chance to say. So I finally remembered what it was. So we're going to talk about that today and talking about coding standards and short-term thinking. And then the other one, a product owner. We're going to talk about that. Short-term maybe needs to up the velocity done in the sprint. What do you do? We'll talk about that in a second too. So two types of short-term thinking. So the first one, let's talk about the coding standards because I think this will be a shorter topic. When in episode 428, there was an article in there about, okay, you got a short-term thing to be done. Is it just easier to hire someone who's an expert, bring them on the team or her on the team and have them take care of that connection and then have them go away? And my content was like, well, that's kind of short-term thinking, is it? Because the team's probably going to maintain it like DevOps, what DevOps was supposed to be about and not what it is today. And have to maintain that software code after you bring the expert in, so they should know what it is. But in that same tone, if your core organization is short-term thinking, well, we just need to know and bring somebody in, then I want to ask the organization, why do you need standards for coding? Why do you need standards across the organization? If your thought process is just temporary, and I really don't need the teams to be multi-disciplined, multi-trained, and multi-understanding, then there is no reason for whole organization code standardization, is there? Because they're not going to work on the same stuff. So there's a code standard for a team makes sense because they're going to be working day in, day out on whatever they're working for a team. But does a whole organization make sense? Do we just identify some boundaries in what we're looking from a code perspective for the whole organization versus detailed standards? That's that question. Do you really need it? If you're really thinking short-term wise versus long-term wise, you don't need full organization coding standards. So I just want to offer that to you when people bring that up. But if you're an organization, well, we just need to bring an expert on the team, and the team really doesn't need to know about the different aspects of their software or how to do different things, then you really don't need coding standards. I mean, you may be talking about moving people from team to team, but again, that goes against the Agile principles, right? Just something to think about, right? Think about why you're saying and what you're saying, how one action eliminates the need for another. I personally think you do think long-term and people should know things, but I don't know necessarily that you need coding standards across the organization because how often are you going to do it? What's the frequency? We were talking about bringing value to the customer. How much value does that bring to the customer? Are you in the habit of taking people from one team, put them on another team, and switch them around all the time? Therefore, you do need coding standards across the organization, but that constant switching of people from team to team doesn't bring value to the customer. It actually lowers the value to the customer. So there, look how I brought the value to the customer into this Scrum discussion. So that's just something to think about. So that's one thing on short-term thinking. The other one, classic question. It's a great question. Product owner comes in, because I see so many Scrum Masters that do this, or so many teams. Scrum Master, product owner says, well, I really got to get this stuff done. This got to get in. We need this in. And they want to bump up the velocity, but let's say 20%. Let's say they want to bump it up. Like normally it's 50, and this one sprint, the product owners, I really need to get this done. And the team, was above our velocity, the whole thing, right? But we can't, because our velocity is this, and that's over the velocity, and that's just kind of from the empirical data is we're not going to be able to handle it. But some talk about it. It's really important, and they go through this whole thing. Really need to get it done, and the team, in the end, says, "Okay, we'll do it." What do? Do you say no as a Scrum Master? See, that is the novice Scrum Master. It's the beginning. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. No, 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 no. But is that the right answer? And why is it your job to tell them they can't do it? It's not your job. Your job is to guide the team and help the team understand the ramifications of such actions, how they will adapt when it doesn't work, right? And most likely, not all the work's going to get done. And someone asked me that question the other day, and my answer was probably, I think they were surprised by my answer, because I didn't say, well, you tell them, no, you can't do it. But that's not true, right? So what you tell them is like, okay, we need to get this done. We need to make sure we prioritize all the work in the backlog. Got to make sure the team understands what's the most important thing. If this is so important, you got to get all this work done. You as a product owner, we need you to prioritize the work, because the most likelihood something's not going to get done, right? It's just not going to happen. But we need everybody on the team, the developers, the product owners, stakeholders, to understand that some of it may not get finished, right? And it's just going to happen. As long as they understand that and that ramification, and they don't go pointing fingers, you did this, you did that, blah, 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 you failed, you didn't do that, then you're good. The safety is there. So as long as the safety and trust between the product owner, stakeholders, and the team is there, and there's a push, and they said, hey, we really want to push it because we know this is done, and we may or may not get it, right? We may have to work some overtime. Okay, right? But we as Agile coaches, as Scrum Masters, have to make sure that everybody understands the risks involved, right? And the ramifications. Now, the question is, do you continue this pace? No, you're going to burn out, right? So there's a little things that, okay, we can't keep this pace up. Yeah, it was a hot thing, but if you're going to tell me everything's hot every day, then you're managing your stuff wrong, and we need to rethink about what we're doing, right? So that's the long-term game. But short-term game, typically you say no. Typically this wouldn't happen. You acknowledge that fact, right? And you have that discussion. But then you say, okay, the team really wants to do it. They're saying, okay, we'll do it, because it's a team's call, right? But they got to understand what it would take to get there, and the fact that they may or may not get it. But they promise, because they're a committed team, to meet what they say, because there is a need, there is a deadline. Stuff needs to get done. There's other teams may need that data or may need that work that you're going to do. So there is a need, and it has to get done within that sprint. It's just something to think about as you go. So it's not always no, and it's not always, well, you can't do it, and it's wrong, and I won't let you do it, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you got to work it out, but you got to make people people understand why they're doing it, and it can't be just this bully technique, right? The bully has to understand the impact of such a bullying activity. So there is some working, but it's value for the customer. Make sure it's value for the customer. Make sure it ain't some bullshit work, excuse my French, that really doesn't matter. Right? They're just doing a lot of stuff. What is all the value of this stuff? It all has to have value if you're going to go past that that velocity, the data from telling you what the team normally does, right? So this is the kind of things that a new Scrum Master may not ask, may not think about. So I just wanted to share that with you, as even people who do the questions, maybe they're asking you those questions, they didn't realize that they were pushing the team when it ain't their job. It ain't your job as an Agile coach. It ain't your job as a Scrum Master to tell the team no. It's a team's job to realize when they have to say no. You want them to get to the capability of saying no. That is a mature team. So I just wanted to share that with you. A couple questions: short-term thinking versus long-term. Short-term thinking: do we need standardization across the organization? Or, okay, are you rotating people around? I mean, is that and is it adding value? And then, what do you do when a product owner says we really need to get some stuff done? Short term, we can do it. We're not going to kill ourselves. Can we continue to pace long term? Most likely not. Is it needed? Do we need to say no all the time? No, we don't need to say no all the time. We need to find a way of getting it done and prioritizing that work. So, 2 things here. Hope you have a good day. Please give us a thumbs up if you like the show, and ring the little bell so when we go out and do the videos, I think today's video wasn't in the 5 a.m. hour. What time was it? I get my little notifications. It says 6:39. So we went out about 6:39. And again, this was a 435th episode. And I wish you a good day on this Wednesday, and have a great week. See you tomorrow. Bye. And see ya.